Welcome to the final episode of Trade Targets for the 2019 season. Most leagues are having their trade deadlines this week, possibly next week, but most have actually probably already had them. Our leagues kind of bounced around and had some in early November, some finishing this week, and some next week. So this will be the last episode. It's going to be a quick one. It's going to kind of recap the episode that we had a couple weeks ago where we talked about players with good schedules. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe and hit that like button. We're trying for 20 likes today. Anyways, my name is Ben. This is Matt, and we're going to jump right in here. I'm going to talk about a player that I mentioned on the podcast that I'm looking to sell right now. Now, I was talking more about dynasty selling him because I don't believe he's going to be great long term. But when I see his value here, I'm just kind of beside myself and think I'm happily going to sell high on Christian Kirk at a 14. And I would happily take Courtland Sutton straight up, who is a 14 as well. But I also have some other offers where I'd be looking to package him on a 2-for-2 deal, selling high on him as well. So take him and throw in somebody else that we don't like, Mark Ingram or Phillip Lindsay, a couple of guys there. So the value is going to be 34 or 32. So we're looking to get a running back and a wide receiver back. So we'll get an upgrade at wide receiver. And a nice target here is Keenan Allen, who's only 4 points ahead. So 18. And again, we had 34 and 32. So we're looking at 14 or 16 for running back. And a nice running back that falls into this category, or several nice running backs that I like in this category, are Singletary. David Montgomery at a 15 could work in either deal. David Johnson I do not like, so I'd stay away from him. He looks like he might be
done.
Yeah, like just physically doesn't have it. An interesting player would be Damian Williams. You're taking a lot of risk here because it's going to be a committee, but Tevin Coleman would braid out a couple weeks would be nice, and even Austin Eckler I like in the PPR league, and we are talking PPR values. So to recap, trading away Christian Kirk and either Ingram or Phillip Lindsay, guys that are touchdown dependent, I guess is the best way to put them, for somebody who's going to get volume like Devin Singletary or David Montgomery or even Tevin Coleman now, although they tend to split there, but
Reed is out, so
yeah, he's been the best one, and we are getting Keenan Allen on top of that. So I think that's a pretty good trade. Matt, you like it?
I like it.
And again, as I said, 1 for 1. Happily take Courtland Sutton for Christian Kirk. Matt, your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I'll take Sutton over Kirk. Even with the quarterback not so certain situation in Denver.
He did it with the 1 week they were together, so
yeah,
I believe that. He's going to get volume. Who else is going to throw it to? Noah Fant?
Yeah. Nobody. Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders is ghost.
Emmanuel Sanders is ghost.
Yeah.
Matt, do you have anybody that you are interested in trading for? Because we had talked about David Montgomery having a great playoff schedule, so that's why he's one of the names we talked about. And he's been getting the volume, which has been great.
Yeah, it's been very helpful for him. There's just a couple of guys here that I don't know if you know about trying to buy them. There's a couple of guys here I'm looking at their value, and it just seems it's still a little too high for my liking. One of those guys is, you just talked about two of them, so I'm not going to bring up Ingram and Lindsay. Le'Veon Bell still 24.
Yeah, he's one spot ahead of Todd Gurley and James Conner. James Conner constantly injured. Will be back this week, but who knows about his next week's status. So that's always tough to have a player who might not suit up for your playoff matches. But 2 spots behind Melvin Gordon, who, if you can somehow make that work and get Melvin Gordon.
Yeah. Like you talked about with Bell last week, he just so inconsistent. Well, not even, he's consistently
mediocre.
Average,
he's like David Johnson last year, right? Not much to him. Still finishing kind of up there in the points in the PPR range at least.
Yeah, in PPR he's been okay.
Yeah, consistent with the touches or with the catches, about 4 a game, and then about 60 to 80 yards. So good for about 12 points and the odd touchdown.
But I think somebody to look at possibly getting here, and I'd have to double check on his strength schedule here, but with the situation with Brandon Cooks is Robert Woods. That's somebody that I think is interesting. Was definitely the number 1 on Sunday. Teams are going to be focusing more on Cooper Kupp. I'm just going to check on our Rams schedule here.
It's third worst.
I feel like it's not very good, yeah.
They get at Pittsburgh, or they had at Pittsburgh, so they get Chicago, Baltimore, at Arizona, which is good, Seattle, and then finish it off with at Dallas and at San Francisco, the number 2 and number 6 ranked defenses against wide receivers.
Yeah, Dallas doesn't strike me as that great of a passing defense.
Number 2?
Yeah, Cousins had a pretty good day.
Did Diggs?
No, and that's fair enough. It just seems like Robert Woods is going to be above a lot of the guys that he's compared to, like Gallup, Juju.
Like, the mighty have fallen.
AJ Green. Like, who knows what's going to happen there. DK Metcalf. I would take Robert Woods over a lot of all these guys, and pretty handily. Now, like, the closest guy here is Sutton.
What about DJ Chark or Robert Woods?
I'm thinking Robert Woods right now.
Maybe I'm just biased towards DJ Chark.
And it could be recency bias on Robert Woods, but I feel like he's going to take advantage of the Brandon Cooks injury. So that might be somebody, you can probably get him relatively cheap just because he has done nothing at all this year.
Absolutely. It's a good target. Bad schedule, but again, the focus will be on Cooper Kupp. So we'll talk about one more player. Again, we're going to make this real quick because most teams are past the trade deadline. I won't even be watching this video. And this part I want to talk about is Todd Gurley. And he's interesting because we've talked about selling him in the past because of the concerns of the knee. Now, I'm buying him because it's a gamble, and I'm looking for the Todd Gurley of 2018 to come back. This team is in playoff contention, barely. They haven't been giving him the ball. By all accounts, they've been saving him for the playoffs. There are no playoffs if they can't get to the playoffs. Playoffs? Exactly. So they need to run him out there, bad knee and all, just give him the rock, let him do what he can do, and hopefully he can get back to that form. So I'm gambling that the coach's decision is going to be to start feeding Gurley because they need to win, and they can't be saving him for the playoffs anymore. And give me that volume, give me that talent, and fingers crossed that knee holds up.
Like, what kind of players are you looking to trade for Gurley?
It would probably be a 2 for 2. But the guys around him, like Le'Veon Bell or James Conner, I'd trade either of them away for Todd Gurley, even in a PPR league, because we've seen Todd Gurley be the PPR monster that he can be. If I can do a 2 for 1, I'll happily trade away Devonta Freeman and Juju for Gurley.
I'd imagine so. Both those. I don't think Devonta Freeman's accurate with the injury there.
No, Joe Mixon at 10.
There you go.
I'd rather do Royce Freeman at 12, though.
Now, how is Royce Freeman ahead of Joe Mixon?
People think that what happened last week was a mirage.
Even still, how is that? He's not doing any worse than
I'm going to grab 2 running backs
Freeman,
because I really like one running back schedule, and I believe in the talent, and that's Sony Michel. So I'm going to get Todd Gurley at 23 and Sony Michel at 9. Sony Michel has the, I believe it's the best schedule here. New England, I'm in wide receivers. New England number 1, they have KC, Cincinnati, and Buffalo. 3 nice matchups in the playoffs. They got a tough matchup this week, Philly, but then Dallas and Houston are, run-of-the-mill average matchups. So Sony Michel is at 9, and Todd Gurley is at 23, so that's 32. So I'm going to trade a couple guys here in the middle. So David Johnson, goodbye. Phillip Lindsay or Mark Ingram, goodbye. So that's a trade. Todd Gurley and Sony Michel I get, and I trade away either Mark Ingram or Phillip Lindsay along with David Johnson. Which side do you like?
Yeah, I definitely like the Gurley side because I don't like either of the backs that you're trading. Any of the 3, honestly. Like Lindsay, Ingram, or DJ. Don't want any part of any of those guys right now. The guy I want most out of that batch is Lindsay, sadly.
It'll probably be David Johnson for me. I'm just kind of hoping, but
I don't trust it at all.
Do you have anything to add before we go? This was a quick episode. Check out the Week 10 episode. The link will be in the description. We really went over the strength of schedule. Not much has changed since then. We talked about guys that we were looking at. These are just a couple of extra things that values that have changed that have now made it into the trade bait and trade targets.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hopefully you're doing both.
That's it.